So I wanted to do this a little bit differently this time. Just share a little bit of a sneak peek behind our cold plunge and talk about it to you. So here we're walking in. I'm freaking out. Kelsey does this every Sunday for about 2 to 3 minutes in the water, but today she was feeling a quick dipperoonie, so she just dunked herself and came back up, and that's what she was in the mood for. And I wanted to go for a minute. I wanted to sit there for a minute, and we laughed later and said I looked like a condom head. I had a bun up, and that hat just made me look like a little condom head. So yeah, that's me just chilling in the water. My hands were feeling so prickly, like oh my gosh, like needles were poking me like crazy. I was also I couldn't go down to have my neck submerged, which normally you want to do because your vagus nerve gets submerged, and that's how you get the best benefits from doing cold dip. But the current was too strong, so I had to stay up a little bit higher. Yep, this is me walking out. Literally,
oh my gosh,
pricks
my
all
whole
over my
body
body.
feels like it has needles poking it everywhere. How do you feel?
So good.
Okay, I'm still in shock, but I'm starting to feel more like energized. I learned this with Rory when we did like a breathwork class in Brooklyn. I think these people are looking at us like we're crazy.
Yes, you do.
So yeah, so Rory and I did like a breath work and cold plunge workshop at a yoga studio, and this is what they taught us to keep our core temperature warm, because we were really cold at this point and we should have been already moving as soon as we got out of the water. So that was a little rookie mistake.
We're already purple.
Oh
Time
Yeah.
to get dressed.
Time to get dressed.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're walking back. My feet are so freaking numb. Wow, it feels like I'm walking, like I have 2 ice blocks and I'm somehow using them to walk.
Skin's a little bit red.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna walk through
Condom head and diseased hands over here.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. I'm popping in with a surprise podcast episode, and I'm just so excited to share it with you all. It was a spontaneous decision to record this with my friend Kelsey, who is a business coach. And whenever we hang out, it's just so expansive, inspiring, motivating, elevating, all those kinds of words, energizing. And every time we hang out, I'm just like, oh damn it, we should have just like literally had some mics set up and just talked, and like this should have been a podcast episode, because it's just so fun to like shoot the shit, talk about business, life, problem solve together, all those things. And yeah, so pretty much when we hung out recently, first week here in January, we just decided to do that after our cold plunge, where we went into literally the creek behind our house when it was like, I think it was 0 degrees or 4 degrees outside. And so the water was about that temperature. And I love cold plunges whenever I can do them, because they're so energizing. And then you feel like you can take on so much more that day, and in general, just in life, because you're like, if I can do that, I can do anything. But anyway, also just wanted to catch you up on just like where the podcast is at, because as some of you may know, I took pretty much a 2-month long sabbatical, November, December, and it was incredible because I was just able to like focus on unplugging, doing what I wanted when I wanted, spending time with Ben, spending time with Rory, family time. We went away to Barbados for a freaking month, which was a freaking dream. We rented a villa right like walking distance from the beach, near the walking distance from the grocery store, even though one way it was like 25 minutes, but still amazing. Like, oh, it's just so amazing. And it's just been so nice to slow down and have that time. And even though it can be hard for me at times, because I'm such like a driven person, I'm like, I have all these ideas, I want to do this in my business, but it was actually really healthy for me to like take that pause, and just discover a new way of being, in a way. So Yeah, I took a pause on the podcast. It's been about 2 to 2.5 months now where no episodes have come out, but don't worry, there will be so many amazing episodes coming out this year. I'm just kind of over here recharging, relearning. I'm integrating as well things that I'm learning. I'm all about actually taking action on what you learn because that's how you actually, again, integrate the lessons that you learn throughout life, throughout courses, all of the things. I have so many exciting things that I can't wait to share with you all, realizations, all that stuff. But for now, this is just a fun, like, bonus podcast episode that I thought was a really good fit for this time of year as well. Um, because it's all about us just sharing our, like, openly sharing that we are, business owners that also, experience ups and downs or ebbs and flows and how to deal with that. And it's just that it's a natural part of being a human and running a business. And we want just to talk about that. That's what intuitively popped up for us to talk about. And hopefully, whatever season you're in your business, whether you're, you feel like you're on fire and you're up leveling and you're like, everything is happening exactly how I want it to. I'm manifesting this. I'm taking action on this. I'm booking these clients at my dream rate, all the things. It's still a great episode to listen to because you might get a nugget of a hit of inspiration of what you maybe need at this time, or maybe in the future it might help you understand how to deal with when eventually you might hit a downswing where you feel, I don't have clarity on what I want, or I don't feel inspired. Why do I feel stuck? Why does everything feel hard? And then in the future, when that downswing happens, you'll just know, hey, like, it happens to all business owners. And maybe you'll have some ideas on how to move through that season intuitively in a way that feels good to you, and all of that. So yeah, I am so excited to drop this. Also currently, just as a life update, so Rory was on paternity leave. I can never freaking say that well. Paternity, so I'm just gonna say pat leave last year, which was amazing, incredible. I got to work part-time, and then we got to hang out part-time as a family while he had time off. And then now, starting January, he went back to work, which I'm really excited about for him because, of course, like, he was missing that, like, mental stimulation and, having, like, that purpose of, like, working on a team and all those things. Even though it's obviously amazing to have that family time, it was just like, I'm really excited that he gets to have that now and then family time as well. So he's back to work, and we've decided that at least for the next 2 months, so January and February, I'm primary caretaker now. So I'm not back to work full time. So I'm just kind of going with the flow right now, listening to myself, like, what I want in my life, what I need. Like, because we could, if we really wanted to, if I really wanted to, I could go back full time to work right now, and we could just hire a part time or full time nanny or put Ben in daycare or anything like that. But I just really want to, the next 2 months before he turns one, because he turns one February 27th, just to be primary caretaker, experience that, like, because this time is so fleeting and there's so little for just such a short amount of time. And I'm like, there's, like, for the rest of my life for work, but he's not going to be this little for the rest of his life. And he's going to be going to school. He's going to have things on his thing, like in his to-do list, like friends to hang out with, activities. And so I'm trying to be really, really present right now, even though I want to work so badly. I want to, like, host workshops. I want to, yeah, like, this, teach more and all this stuff, podcast more. I know that the Sarah in 10 years, I'm thinking of myself in 10 years, will be like, what will you have? Will you have any regrets if you just jump into work too quickly? And I'm like, yeah, like, what is 2 months? 2 months is so precious. And I'm just going to, like, really use this time to be sacred and figure out, problem solve, how I can make more time for myself. So I'm waking up early before Ben wakes up, so I have time for Sarah. And then during his nap times, I'm very, very intentional with what I do with that time. So I fill my cup in different ways. Yes, I work here and there because I love it. I love it. It stimulates my brain. Like right now, I'm podcasting to you quickly. And in other ways, I'm meditating, I'm moving my body, I'm reading. So this is just a very cool, different kind of chapter season in my life, and I'm all here for it. And just wanted to share that quick update. But I am not officially letting you know when the next episode is coming out, but this is a surprise one. And then maybe there'll be another surprise one, maybe not. But yeah, after maybe February, March, you can start expecting a whole bunch of new, juicy, amazing episodes with just all of the new realizations and ways of living and being that I'm integrating right now. So yeah. Miss you all. I can't wait to connect with you more deeply through, courses, workshops on this podcast, conversations over on Instagram, all of that. So for now, I leave you with this amazing episode. And again, if this episode helps you in some way, please tag me on Instagram at Sarah Monica Photo. I would be so happy to see that it inspired you. It literally just like gives me so much joy and lights a fire in me to like continue to share on the podcast. And it helps other photographers find the podcast. And I would be happy to reshare as well and DM me too. And yeah, so at Sarah Monica Photo, if you love this episode, screenshot it, tag me, and tag Kelsey as well. And that's about it. Hope you have an amazing day and enjoy the episode. So what's up, Kelsey?
Are we live? Well,
Indeed.
What's up is that we are just coming back to regular temperature after doing a polar plunge. It's January. And we just went in the river. How do you feel?
Hello. Sorry, just testing the mic again. I feel so good. Like, I feel energized and I have this like you said, residual chill in my body, but I feel cozy at the same time.
Yeah.
But I love how awake my body feels physically. Like, it's just that like, yeah, we were talking about earlier, like stagnant energy.
Yeah.
Of how it's like, it's so hard to be creative or inspired or confident in your ideas, even from a place of stagnant energy. So I'm just like, oh, this is why we did the cold plunge first. And they were like, then we're going to just podcast and have fun and feel energized. So
I've heard a lot of people say that, like, if you can get into cold water and stay in there for a minute or two, everything else you do that day feels a little bit easier because it's pretty chaotic when you submerge into icy cold water. I know a lot of people are probably like, that's crazy. Why would you put yourself through that? But I do think there is something to be said for challenging yourself to do things that make you that uncomfortable, because then all of your mundane tasks and the things that you have to do in your work for the rest of the day kind of feels a little bit easier. Like, it almost takes the edge off of everything else that's to follow.
It's so true. I feel like you just feel so badass.
And
but I'm
you
not
just
gonna
feel
lie,
badass.
I'm still shivering right now. I'm like holding this mic. I'm just
cold
like,
too. So if we're chattering our teeth on this podcast, at least people know why.
and we had to turn off the heat because we
Yeah.
didn't want it to affect the audio. So we're like, fuck, I didn't realize we'd have to turn off the heat.
We're gonna go get blankets at intermission. I'll just have them draped all over us.
Yeah.
I'll light a little fire and then we'll continue our recording.
Yeah. So this is a different little like recording that we just decided to spontaneously record because we wanted to hang out, because we're both like, okay, whenever we hang out, we exchange such amazing, powerful ideas. We get so inspired for our business. We have so many like values and things that we're passionate about aligned. So let's hang out. And then last night I texted you. I was like, hey, do you want to randomly like record a podcast? Because every time we hang out and talk, it's like, fuck, that should have been a podcast episode. That was so good. And so we're literally just going to be like chatting as if we're just chatting here and bringing you guys along on the ride. And actually, we did have a random idea because we're like, we had such great conversations before we even sat down, and every like 30 minutes we're like, damn it, we should have been recording already, right? But then we're like, okay, what's our intention? Like, let's figure out like a more of a direction and intention for our chat. So what do we have for everyone?
We're going to talk about the natural ebbs and flows of business, but I think also of life. I mean, you and I have known each other probably about 5 years now, and we've been through a lot of life and business together, and it hasn't all been easy. And I think the one thing that I really appreciate about our friendship is that we don't sugarcoat anything. Yes, we have big goals and big dreams, and obviously when we get together, we love to celebrate the progress that we've made. but we're also truthful with each other about the things that are flops or the things that are not working, or the fact that there are weeks that go by where we're just like, I don't know what the F I'm doing or what to do next, or I feel stuck. And I think it's easy in this world where, we like to show up on social media and create content from an inspired state. But I think it's important to also shine a spotlight on the fact that, like, we never have it all figured out. There are moments or seasons or weeks or days that pass by where things just don't make sense, and you may not have all the answers, but maybe that's why it's so important to have friendships and peers who understand and can kind of help you navigate through those chapters.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, I I remember when oh my God, I said I remember when as if it was like years ago. This was literally an hour ago.
I remember when I saw you 30 minutes ago.
I remember when we came up with the idea of talking about the natural ups and downs in business.
I remember that too.
No, like what like inspired me and what came to mind then was like that I just went through like some ups and downs myself of like not having clarity of what I want for the next year and taking a month and a half sabbatical for myself away from business, away from work, and feeling like this, like, it's so rare for me to do that and not think about work that I felt in a way like I was like failing because no ideas were coming to me. And then after I was done the sabbatical, it's like, holy shit, like, okay, I'm still fucking shivering. What is going on? Can you hear me shivering? I'm like, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm like, okay, Kelsey's gonna get me a blanket. But so yeah, I was just like feeling this, like, I guess what my down that I'm gonna talk about is that like depressed feeling, even when you're so confused on what to do next and where to go next and you have no clarity. It could feel defeating because maybe you've had a lot of clarity in your business up until this point. I mean, I've been in business for 11 years and I've only had ups and downs, moments of clarity, moments of non-clarity. And I'm just riding that roller coaster. And I just recently experienced the down again, where it's like, you have those butterflies in your tummy of like, what's going to happen? That like kind of fear of like, wait, like, will I have more ideas? Will I know how to keep going? And yeah, I just wanted to share that because it's such a natural process. And I know especially for photographers right now in off season, it's very much like, holy crap, it's kind of off season. Where's my money coming from? Where is my business coming from? Especially around the holidays when everyone's just like hanging out with family. They're not even usually thinking about booking services. December could be such a quiet month. And I know I used to spiral down during that time. So yeah, that's what kind of like inspired it. It's just like being real with you all in this chapter of what I'm going through and how to even get out of it. Because I know for me, what I did was decided, instead of freaking out and being like, but what if I don't get any ideas? What's happening? I asked myself, okay, what is creating pain for me right now? And for me, it was uncertainty. So I asked myself, okay, what would give me certainty? And then my brain automatically answered the question, because our subconscious mind answers whatever questions we ask it. So you've got to ask it quality questions. And it answered, get quiet, go inward, meditate, journal, be honest with what you really want. Don't think of how you're going to get what you want. Just think of what you want and why. And so I did that, and I got quiet and I rested some more, and I just reflected and I played around with brainstorming and having fun and not feeling like this idea I'm brainstorming right now, I have to be married to it and that's going to be the idea for my business next year. It's like, no, I'm just still brainstorming. And then this week has been such a powerful week. So much clarity has come my way and I feel like I'm on that high again. Like I'm just like riding the up of the roller coaster. I'm like, yes, now I know what's happening. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that because like it could happen as quickly as 2 weeks ago. I was feeling so down, so confused, not sure where I'm going, to 2 weeks later feeling so much clarity and confidence. It could be within 2 weeks. It could take 5 months, 6 months. It could take 4. It could take years. It just depends. But yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at right now with my like ebb and flow, my down, my up experience in this moment right now. There's obviously so many more stories, but Kelsey, what comes to mind for you about like anything that comes to mind in your business where it's either a high or a low?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's important to recognize too that like half of your life is going to be spent above the line, so to speak, and half is below. Like if we think of this baseline kind of when you're having a day that's just going according to plan, everything's good, but nothing is like outstandingly wonderful, but nothing's horribly bad. You're going to have, you know, half of your life slightly above the line, half slightly below. So I think to expect that you'll never ebb and flow is something that we all kind of need to release, and that it's okay to have these times when you're just kind of like, shit, I don't know what to do. And I honestly admit I've been so naive to that, because when the pandemic first started, I almost had this like burst of energy, and I was like, okay, I'm going to be in massive momentum and massive action and be of service to people. And it felt like for 2 years, I was just kind of running on adrenaline, and I was loving my work, and I was helping a lot of people get their online marketing figured out.
This was during the pandemic or before?
During the pandemic.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Kind of from 2020 to 2022. And I had no problem with motivation. Like everything was just in flow. And that is a really great feeling. And, you know, looking back on that chapter, I don't know what was happening, but like every day I woke up with a fire. And then approaching October, so maybe about 4 or so months ago, I just hit this moment, which I know you've experienced too, Sarah, where I was just like, no, I don't know what to do. I'm bored. I felt lost. I felt low motivation, and I felt stuck in my routine. And I realized that I'd kind of been doing the same thing every day for 2 years. There was not a lot of excitement outside of work, I guess. Well, there was, but something just kind of came to a halt. And I had to, similar to you, ask myself the question of, what do I need right now? And that wasn't something that I had really asked myself before. And
I'm going to move my body while you do that to warm up.
go for it. And when I got quiet, I heard that you need to, okay, I don't know how to phrase this in a way that doesn't sound slutty because I'm married, but the answer was you need to go like wake up in a different bed. As in, you need to go travel and like shake up your routine to the point where you open your eyes and you don't know where you're gonna have coffee that day. You don't know where you're gonna open your laptop and work. So I made a decision that if I wanted to ebb and flow through the next chapter of my life and business with excitement, that I just needed to like shake things up. And so I decided to book 3 separate trips in a matter of 6 weeks. And I just got on planes and I texted friends, and I ended up traveling twice in November and once in December, because that's what my inner voice was saying, was like, you can't just be bored in your routine and expect that you're going to get creative ideas. So I am so glad that I asked myself that question and heard the answer of like, get out and live, Kelsey. Like, stop, staying stuck in the routine that's making you bored and miserable. So yeah, I mean, that was my recent kind of dip, but I think asking that question of what do I need right now is really the most powerful thing you can do in that moment.
That's so cool. Isn't it so interesting how something can work for us for so long, and then out of nowhere it just doesn't work, it feels stagnant, something needs to change, something needs to shift, and it's like, it's in a way, it's like, it's so funny how we can react in such a scared way, but really it's such a gift, because it's just our souls or whatever communicating with us, hey, it's time for something new, something different. So
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What is something you feel like you need to give up this year that's no longer serving you? It could be anything.
Oh, I like that question. I'm so cold. I'm never normally this cold after a freaking thing. It's because I'm normally moving my body, not sitting down.
I'm cold too, but I
Next
thought it was because I
time-
have wet hair.
You have wet hair too. I'm like, next time maybe I will record a podcast. Maybe if I can record a podcast walking or like doing squats, but it's okay, you guys.
I can get you more layers.
Oh no, this is good.
Okay.
I'm just gonna friction my feet together. And no, I'm not avoiding your question. Okay, I love that question. Say it again because I really want to like.
Yeah,
think about
like,
it.
you know, things often come to a point where they're no longer serving us, whether it's friendships, whether it's I don't like the house I live in, whether it's a routine. Maybe you were going to high intensity workouts every day in 2022 and then you wake up one day and you're like, this doesn't feel good in my body. So what is something you feel
I know
you need to give up? Maybe you're still doing it right now, but you're like, this isn't serving Sarah of the future.
I know. The what came to me right away is saying no longer playing small.
Ooh, expand on that.
So, and I've told this to you earlier today, and I'm like, this is coming up again. But like, when the pandemic first hit, like I told you, I think it was 2017, 18, 19, those years felt so powerful to me. I felt like I was so confident who I was, how I was showing up in my business. I had so much clarity on how to be. I really didn't care what other photographers were doing, other business owners were doing. I was just like intuitively moving through my own flow, my own decisions, and it led me to like so much abundance in like joy, energy, financial abundance in my business, like dream clients, all of that stuff, right? And then the pandemic hit and I started just noticing how people were like pointing fingers at each other, blaming, being so judgmental, you know, judging, for example, in our photography community, there were photographers judging other photographers for offering these like porch sessions during lockdown where they would like shoot a family from like the sidewalk to the porch, and people would be like, that's irresponsible. Like, what if someone coughs and the air blows like the winds towards the family and the family gets sick? And like, we were in that point where we were so unsure of what this like disease was. I understand the fear, the concern, right? But it was just like so toxic.
Yeah.
And I was like, for the first time, I was scared that I would be judged for showing up as who I was, because it seemed as though like everyone was being judged for all different things. Like no matter what people did, people were being judged. And I understand like there was a whole like fear thing and climate, all of that. But I was like, wait, like, no, I'm going to turtle. And I'm like, I'm just going to turtle just for now. I don't like drama. I'm going to avoid it. It's not productive. I'm just going to turtle. I'm going to just like go inward. I'm going to be cozy inside at home with Rory, whatever. Mm-hmm. But that turtling ended up like turning into a 2-year turtling.
Yeah.
And a lot of you might actually, those of you that are, you know, listeners to my podcast, you might be surprised to hear that because you might see me in a different way. And I've wanted to talk about this for a while, but I've been scared. But this is my fuck it moment. Or should I say fork it? Like, fork it. Yeah, I'm just so over like that, missing that authentic Sarah. Mm-hmm. And I've been showing up authentically, like, don't get me wrong. It's just I've been playing small. Like, I could have been playing so much bigger. I could have voiced my opinions, my beliefs so much more. I could have been, you know, helping even more photographers on a higher, better level. And I was doing my best. But yeah, that whole like judgment space of how, I think you've all noticed it during the pandemic, it got really dark and there's a lot of like judgments. Even I just seemed to notice even more cyberbullying, and I really was so scared of that. So I kind of turtled, and I'm finally realizing like literally I'm just like being reborn again mm-hmm. in a new way and becoming that like fearless Sarah I used to be. So there was a Sarah pre-COVID and then there was a Sarah during COVID, and now I just had to refine myself. And that's what can be a little like something I want to really pass on as like a huge lesson from this is that it can be really dangerous to choose to turtle at any moment, even if your intention is to turtle for a month or two. Because that was my intention. I'm like, okay, for now I'm just gonna get quiet. I don't want to use my voice. I don't want to, whatever, right? And it's okay to do that and get off social media to get space. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like a deeper level. It's like, why are you turtling? You have to ask yourself that question. So as an example, as a metaphor, to paint the picture better, when I first got braces, right, I could have turtled. I could have been like, oh my God, look at my mouth. Like, this doesn't feel like me. I'm scared people are going to judge me. I'm supposed to be a wedding photographer. Like, how are people going to take me seriously when I go to weddings and I look like I'm freaking 16? Because I have a young looking face. And then on top of that, braces, like I literally could have looked 16. And it's like, how are these people going to trust me to take like great pictures? And it's like, not about my couples, because I think the couples do their due diligence with who they hire, but like the parents, how am I going to earn their respect and all of that, right? I could have gone down that rabbit hole and been scared. And guess what? When you feel actually that energy of turtling and you're not that confident in yourself and you're in your head about the braces or whatever, then guess what? You show up to a wedding day and that's the energy you bring. And guess what? You attract. Law of attraction. Like energy attracts like energy. Not just positive, it also attracts literally like energy. So if you're not feeling confident, guess what you're going to attract? The family and friends, and maybe even the couple not feeling confident in you because there is a lack of confidence in you. Mm-hmm. So I had this like very pivotal, decisive moment. As soon as I got my braces on, I remember I was sitting in the chair, getting them on, and at the end they fucking bring out the mirror and they show you, and I'm like why? I have to do this publicly? Are you fucking kidding me? So I'm like, okay. I saw it in the mirror and I had the thought of like, oh no, I have to have this for 2 years. What am I going to do? And then I shut it down. I was like, nope, you are not. And I talked to the voice like it was a separate entity. I was like, you're not going to bring me down. You're not going to hold me back. I'm going to be even more confident than I've ever been. And I know what I offer, and braces don't matter. Like, it's the energy I bring. So from this moment, I'm going to be confident the whole time with braces. And it was that decisive moment that led me actually embodying that confidence throughout the whole 2.5 years I had braces. And guess what? Those years were the years of 2017 and 18. So like I mentioned, those are my most powerful, confident years. And so, some people might think, oh, if I get braces, it's going to limit my business capabilities, all of that. I had my biggest like growth periods during that time. So my lesson here that I learned is, like, don't turtle out of the fear of what the external world thinks of you. Yeah. So I want to talk so much more on my podcast and in general in my teaching courses, everything about the subconscious mind, manifestation, spirituality, energetics, the feminine energy. But on top of that, also the logical stuff, right? The step-by-step how to actually, create this photo, or like there's space for both. And I think I've just been like playing it safe and I'm actually really grateful for this lesson because I get to pass it down to everybody. So it's like not a regret, but it is a little painful because it's really not fun not feeling free to be your authentic self, because I experienced it so deeply at one point and then I experienced the opposite. And so now I'm like, this is my fuck it year, my year of the word, my year of the word, my word.
Word of the year.
My word of the year is alignment. So aligned action.
Good one.
And it's in alignment with me, what I want. And I know that as long as I'm in alignment with myself and my soul, I'm for sure going to be able to help other people in the way I'm meant to. Yeah, so instead of like overthinking it. But on top of that, I can take aligned action in ways that's going to take care of my soul, my body, like through movement, exercise, meditation, waking up when I want to wake up, and just doing things for me. And if I know if I want to teach a course a certain way or take photos a certain way, I know that's coming from this place of like my own intuitive inspiration, and that's the gift that I meant to give. So it's been this whole like journey. That was a long answer. Fuck. But what did I say? What was I saying? No more playing small.
No more playing small. And I mean, it brought this visual to mind for me that so many, not just entrepreneurs, but just human beings on this earth, they're walking around with their own light dimmed, right? Like because of our fear of judgment or people saying mean things to us, or we're worried about the opinions of our parents or our aunts or our uncles, what we tend to do is take the best version of ourselves and say, well, you know what? People won't like me if I'm my true self. So I'm just going to dim my own light, and that ripples into everything else you do, and that can stay with you for years to come. And you know, you're lucky that you've had this kind of epiphany moment or self-awareness to recognize, like, I don't want to live like this forever. Like, I am playing small, or you call it what, squirreling?
Squirreling. Oh no, squirrel's my spirit animal.
Oh, squirrel's
like, I am a squirrel.
What were you saying?
Playful.
You're being squirrely,
Oh,
or
no, what did I say?
you said I've been like
Turtling.
Turtling. Okay. Oh my god, I don't know why I said squirrel.
Oh no, that's so funny. You know what? It's because we saw a squirrel on the way, and
Turtle.
squirreling and turtling sound similar. But
Okay, turtling. Yeah, I feel like you are lucky to have caught yourself turtling after only 2 years, because I would imagine that not only the people listening, but people who are even further along on their life's journey, like, they may find themselves in this moment that 30 or 40 years of turtling, and they're finally waking up to the fact that I am not who I want to be, or I have muted the quirkiest, most silly aspects, or like the real version, the person I am at my core. I have turtled into someone different in hopes that I'm accepted by others. And I think this is such an important lesson just in running a business in general, is that if you can start to figure out what turns your light up and things that dim your light, it can really help you to, like you say, to take aligned action. It's like, if I know something brings me joy and it brings out the best version of me, I need to do more of that. Even if somebody's going to judge me, or even if somebody's going to say a mean comment, because that's also the thing that's going to attract a lot of like-minded people, or that's going to make somebody else feel less alone. So it's like, even if we feel like, oh my gosh, who's going to judge me for this? Or should I say this thing? Yes, it may repel a few people, but there's also this beautiful opportunity to make a true connection with someone who's really going to deeply appreciate that you're showing up as your true self, and just not afraid to shine your light, because it gives them permission to be like, oh my God, maybe I can be myself and run a business too.
so true. And something that I want to add to that, I love that you said that, because I've realized for some reason, I thought back then in 2017, 18, 19, I was like, I've arrived. I am my most authentic self, and I will forever be confident. And, you know, I had this like streak of that, but I'm realizing it's a fucking practice.
Yeah.
It's a practice. It's like you can't just go to the gym for a year and then build up to be so strong, and then you stop for the rest of your life and you're going to stay that strong. It's literally a practice. And so any moment where I find myself being like, oh, but what will they think? I'm like, ooh, good job. You caught yourself. Now, what do you really want to do? And then I do the thing that I want to do. Like, for example, today we did the polar bear dip, and 2 little gentlemen came over and they were just sitting there watching us go in our bathing suits in the cold water. And honestly, if I was by myself, that would have been way more challenging to just do it by myself and be like, oh, they're judging me, whatever. But I would be like, no, but you came here, you wanted to do this. Like, do it for you, right? But it would have been more challenging. But it was easier with you because we had each other and we could like laugh about it together. But same question to you. That's a great question. What do you want to leave behind?
Oh my goodness. I love this question so much. I wish I had a prepared answer, but I think one of the things that's most top of mind is holding on to things for far too long that I know are no longer serving me. So that could be like a certain person per se that I've been just keeping in touch with, even though I feel like maybe the relationship has come to a dead end.
You know, you could tell me. You could be honest with me.
You know those people who you like podcast with once in a while?
It's okay. You could say it here on the podcast. I could take it.
And this is the end of our friendship. But But in a more granular level, I feel like in bringing this back to business, there are so many things that we do on a day-to-day basis to run a business that we often forget to challenge. Like, why do I send out 2 emails a week? Why do I feel like I need to show up and create on a certain platform? Why do I feel like I need to just, check off any task? And I love the idea of really coming at everything with this idea of first principles thinking of, is this the thing I should be doing? Or is there a true reason? Or, and that reason could be, I love it. In that case, great. But if you look at something that you've just been doing on autopilot and you ask yourself, do I still need to do this in 2023? And if you get that immediate subconscious answer of no, I want to release it right then and there versus being like, no, this is just like something I do in a week. So I guess it's the thing that I want to bring into 2023 is the ability to release things quickly versus taking months and months to revamp something in my business.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
Conscious. So do you have a word? Do you have a year of the
I
word?
do. I have a word every year, and this one came to me so quickly. The word is rhythm, because when I think of rhythm, I think of music, and I feel like a song that has a good rhythm, like you're just flowing through it, right?
You're
And you never
vibing.
want it to end, and you almost don't even realize how good a rhythm feels. You just find yourself moving your body, and things are just going. And then if the song ends and goes to a different song that has no rhythm, you're like, oh, now I don't feel as good. And I want that same feeling every day in my life of just like, I wake up and I'm literally just like on the beat because I'm doing things that bring me joy. There's a rhythm to my business. So every season we have similar program launches. There's a rhythm to the way I respond to clients. Like it's every Monday at 9 a.m., not 24/7. So I feel like if I can just bring that rhythmic energy to everything I do, it's just gonna keep me like bobbing along
Like you are right now. Like you're literally popping your shoulder.
The word has infected me. I don't know what to say.
I love that. When you were explaining it right away, you lit up. So number one, that's a good word for you. It's a good year of the word for you. And then you're like, just have rhythm. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, oh my God, it's amazing.
I'm just gonna be working at my desk all year going like this.
Can you record a whole podcast episode going like this?
I'll put it on YouTube and see how many people click off within the first like 10 seconds, being like, does she have like a tick?
No,
or
no,
something?
that would be like, you would want to pay attention. You would be like, wait, how long could she do that for? Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So that's my word of the year.
Yeah.
And
So okay, so you have this urge to, so obviously you wanting to release things that no longer feel good to you.
yes.
Or feel off or feel like you've outgrown it.
yeah.
It feels like it's going to put you in that rhythm of like listening to yourself and your intuition and
Yeah.
all of that. So what is something that you're going to make sure to do in a moment where you're like, ooh, something is telling me I've outgrown this. I need to either delegate it or delete it or, you know, what are you going to do in that moment?
That's a good question. In that moment, okay, so I'm like trying to picture myself. So I encounter a task in my day that I'm like, this is no longer serving me. I think the best thing to do is to like immediately ask for help, which is maybe something that I haven't been good at in the past. But like if I can't immediately figure out what to do with it, it's like enlisting support. So that doesn't mean necessarily hiring or outsourcing, but asking somebody else who's encountered the same challenge. Like I feel like as business owners who work from home, we can get stuck in our head that we have to figure everything out by ourselves. Why couldn't I just pick up the phone and call you and be like, hey, have you ever encountered this before? Or do you know what to do when you hit this kind of roadblock in business? So asking, keeping conversations open with friends and people who get it, and yeah, not feeling like I have to do everything alone, like constantly figuring out things, and instead just tap into people who have the answers because they've gone through it before.
That's so good. I feel so Like I resonate with that so much because I also like there comes a point where it's like problem solving on your own. It's just exhausting that you stop doing it and you're just like, okay, this is just how my business is running now. And it's like there's a way to run it where it feels like a well-oiled machine. It feels good and it's like, okay, it's all good. Everything makes sense and you just feel good and you can just have fun and flow. But then there's going to come a time where something needs to change and shift. Like maybe a new software is available that's actually more efficient or blah, blah, like so many different ways, solutions. And in that moment, it could be like, oh, it's going to take so much effort to like figure this out and whatever. But it doesn't have to be so hard. Like what if, you know, we ask ourselves, what could it look like if it were easy? Who can I ask? Or like even the like who, what, when, where, how questions could get you started. Like who can I ask? Like where can I research? Or like how can I problem solve and just set up a 10-minute timer and problem solve, right?
Yeah. Well, even before we started recording today, we were talking about online courses, and I was telling you, oh, I would like to package up the visionary method into some version of a digital course. And in my head, it was just like overwhelm, overwhelm, overwhelm. And so you pulled up your laptop, you logged into your online course portal and just showed me like the back end of your system. And immediately my brain went from overwhelmed to, I can do this. But had we not been chatting, I still would have been thinking of all that I have to do and how am I ever going to pull this together? But I think when you have people who you can tap into who have already solved that problem, you can basically download like the quick and easy version of, hey, this is what you're going to create. Yes, it's not going to be like the simplest thing, but it is possible and here's how I did it.
Yeah, it's so true. Like I even last time we met up, you like gave me, I was so stuck on how to get help with writing, copywriting and all that. And then I just talked to you. We hung out for like 5-6 hours and I got so much clarity. And then I found the best freaking copywriter ever. And she helped me so much last year when I had my new little baby Ben, and I was still shooting weddings. Like, oh my God, it was just like a game changer. So yeah, like community is so powerful.
I almost have to like force
ideas
myself back to that after the pandemic. Like,
so true.
You know, we almost just got used to like living this life of solitude and wake up every day, do your workout by yourself, and you know, don't go visit neighbors because we're all staying inside, and then sit at your laptop and do Zoom calls. But I almost want to reverse all of that and do more in-person stuff in 2023. And I've been thinking, I got invited to do a virtual one-day mastermind, and my immediate response was no. But if this were in person, because I thought it was going to be, I was an immediate yes. So I just could tell my body was craving that in-person interaction. And I know that for me, the next step is just getting back into the real world and fostering those true partnerships, relationships, whether it's for work or otherwise. But I'm just craving in 2023 that rhythm of getting back into life and learning from the world, right? Yeah. From the experiences that I have on a daily basis.
I can feel that. Yeah, the in-person stuff. I miss that.
Yeah, I know. Are you planning to go to any in-person conferences in the future, or is that not something?
I don't have anything planned this year. I think it's because last year Rory was on paternity leave, and this year I really want to like he just supported the crap out of me. It was so unbelievable, and I really want to be that like pillar for him this year because he's returning back to work, and I want to make sure he like gets his focus time and all of that. And you know what it is? I feel like I've absorbed so much knowledge and I've learned so much, and I'm just ready to apply and like share with all of my listeners. And so I feel like I'm like at a point where I'm learned out and I have so much to give. I'm like exploding and I'm excited. So that's where I'm at. So I think the conference thing doesn't like resonate, but definitely like hanging out with more people and
it's exciting.
Yeah. One thing that, I mean, actually, I'm probably going to save this for another episode because that's a whole nother thing. The RRT that I discovered, that's a whole nother topic. But that has made me realize, so, okay, in short, everybody, I worked through like a really big block that I've had for 14 years, which was kind of like fear of like deeper connection, nurturing relationships. And so now that I've kind of like healed that part of myself, it's so interesting how I am an introverted person. Like I need time alone to think and like recharge, but I also have had this burst of like this need of more community and connection. So it's so fascinating. So we're pretty aligned with that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just a product of what we've all gone through over the past few years, but I also think there comes a time, like anything, there are seasons of business, and there are times when you have to like go deep into your creative cave and just work and like have a strong goal and output so much to get towards it. And then there are times when you can kind of sit back and go, I've created something really awesome, and now I want to get out and talk to people so that I can get inspired and like see what everybody else is up to, because some little nugget that somebody says in some conversation is probably going to land with me, and it's going to give me my next big idea, right? And I feel like that is facilitated through conversation, because it's like by nature the word mastermind is when more than one mind or brain come together. And when you talk with one other person or two other people, the outcomes of a conversation can be exponentially greater than you using one mind to try and think of something, right?
Yeah.
And I think we so often undervalue the potential of getting multiple minds in a room and talking, because that conversation is going to go places that you yourself, you literally just would never get there.
No,
and
you can't even
that's so
imagine it.
inspiring.
You can't even guess where it would go.
You can't, because like it's like quantum when you get multiple people together. I don't even know if quantum leap is the right term, but like those brain cells together can just make magic that is not possible when you stay by yourself.
Like
too
you just
often.
gave me an idea right now. Like you saying that shifted my perspective on this whole intention actually of this episode, of how we're saying when I first was like, hey, should we do an episode on like the ups and downs, the natural ups and downs of business? And then we also have the natural ebb and flow of business. But it's like, why did I think of it like for me, I was thinking of it as ups and downs, and I was thinking of it as bad and good.
I was kind of thinking that too.
Yeah, like ups being like good, a good moment
Yeah.
in time, and down being like, ooh, bad, dark, right? But like now that you said that, for some reason, it's like, why can't we look at it as seasons?
Yeah.
And it's all necessary, and it all plays a part. And yeah, it's such a gift. Like there's literally beauty in every season.
Mm-hmm.
And what if we embraced it instead of resisted it? Because the more resistance we actually put out, the more, what do they say? What you resist persists.
Yeah.
So if you're resisting change and it's uncomfortable and you're like, I'm scared, I don't want this to change, then it's going to continue to feel uncomfortable and scary, and you won't find the beauty or excitement in it. And man, this whole past year has just been a mind fuck for me. Like becoming a mom, I totally underestimated like the shift in me as a human in such an amazing way. Like so many hard moments, but then, as we even said earlier today, it's like so many of the hardest things in life are the most rewarding. Like for example, the cold plunge, it's so fucking hard, but it's so rewarding after, because then you realize how much you can do, and then your body feels great, you feel energized, like so many benefits. So like it's like, what if when we get those moments of like seasons that feel harder, like if we look at it more long term, and we like zoom out and we see that it's just a blimp on the timeline, and this is somehow a gift. It's like, let's look for the reason in this. Let's look for the gift. And I know there's obviously so many scenarios. Like right now I'm thinking like, okay, Abby is like 13 years old now and she's going blind and deaf. And she's my first dog ever. Yeah, my dog is like, I can't. I'm like in denial. I've been in denial for so long about it. But when she goes away one day, I don't know what I'm gonna like. I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I don't know how I don't know what I'm gonna it's going to hurt so much. I'm going to miss her.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that there's going to be some kind of lesson, and it's going to be so painful. I'm never going to want her to go, right? But there's going to be some kind of lesson of like, what did she teach me throughout her life? Did she teach me patience? Did she teach me like how to be more selfless and caring when someone needs you more, like when she's more blind and deaf, or like, I don't know what she's going to teach me when she goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't even know why I went there, but but
Well,
like
I keep thinking
seasons, man.
yeah, like the ebb and flow is always there, and it's really how we respond
Yes.
or react to it.
Yes.
And I like your analogy of zooming out on the timeline to realize that the ups or downs or the little blips in time, they are just tiny blips, but when you're in them, they feel like they're gonna last forever.
Yeah.
But the truth is, every downswing is followed by an upswing, right? It's like that visual of a pendulum. Like it's going to go down, but that means it's building momentum to eventually be able to go up. So it's important in those moments to not just throw in the towel and give up and say, oh, I'm just like on this downward spiral. This is it. Like if you can even just keep showing up on those dark days and maybe just do like one tiny thing that takes 30 seconds, knowing that those little things are going to help you to come out on the upswing.
Yeah.
And like it's not going to be easy, but you have to keep that upswing in mind because everything passes with time.
Yeah, you're so right when you said when you're in it and it feels dark, it feels like it's gonna be forever. Like I was telling Kelsey, the first 2 weeks after I gave birth, it was such a shock to my system of like no sleep, baby on my boob every 2 hours. Oh my God, it's crying. I don't know why. Oh my God. Like it was such a shock. I literally had like a spell of like depression and fear and anxiety for those 2 weeks thinking this is what parenthood is forever. Like that's how our minds can fool us. I was like, oh my God, like, is this what it's gonna be like forever? Like actually until they're 18. Like that's what my mind was telling me, but it's like, of course not, right? And actually you reminded me of like when you're in the downswing, when it feels harder and heavier and darker, do those like little things that bring you light, even if it's a little bit.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the book The Slight Edge.
Yeah.
Have you
I
read
love
it?
that
Yeah,
book.
the
Yeah.
compound effect. He has this beautiful like simple diagram where he shows that every decision you make either takes you moves you in the upswing or moves you in the downswing. So for example, for me personally, I know that if I choose to binge eat, I know that action is gonna, instead of me like moving upward, if you're literally looking at an arrow traveling through time, the arrow's going to start going downward because I know in my body I'm going to feel like crap that night. I'm going to wake up maybe with a salt hangover, dehydrated.
Yeah.
How's my day going to be the next day? And then am I going to take further actions? Like my next action might be to like, you know, sleep in too late and I miss my morning meditation, all these things, right? But if you take that like action of going for a 20-minute walk to get fresh air, get your blood moving, that's going to take that arrow slowly, slightly 1% up in the upswing. And like it's the compound effect of those little decisions that creates that upswing for you in your life. And even someone, let's say like there's someone who's like so into personal development or so on top of their shit, like all their goals, like let me work out, let me do this. Guess what? Shit still happens. People pass away. Really hard moments still happen. But at least you're higher up in the upswing that you can then maybe have the tools within you, have the consciousness within you to recover faster, easier. And I can't say faster and easier because it's a whole new thing that you maybe haven't dealt with.
Yeah.
But at least you're already practicing those habits, and maybe it'll take you 2 days to have a really deep, dark moment. And then maybe third day, you're like, okay, maybe I'll go for a 10-minute walk, even though I'm depressed, but I'll do a 10-minute walk. But maybe someone who is so low, it would take them 2 months to go for that 10-minute walk. So I don't know how we got into that, but I'm thinking like, just in general, I'm thinking, okay, if a business owner right now is listening to this and they're feeling like in the downswing where they're like, I'm so confused, I'm lost, I don't know what to do, I have no clarity, like, hey guys, it's all gonna be okay. We all experience it. And yeah, I hope that anything that we said has helped you feel a bit more like, okay, there's a light at the tunnel. Like, is there something that if that person was sitting in front of you that you would want to say to them, Kelsey?
I think what's most important is to just bring it back home to you in that moment and to say, what is something I can do that will bring me joy today? Because chances are if your business is stuck, it's because personally you're feeling a bit stuck too. And I really believe that you can unlock so much momentum in the work that you do by feeling amazing and coming at your work from a place of vitality. So, you know, whether that's asking yourself, okay, well, what's going to be most fulfilling to me or bring me joy? And if the answer is to go out and get a coffee, amazing, start there. Or maybe you do need to get back to the gym and start working out or sleep better. But I think if you can start with you as an individual, it's kind of incredible that it will ripple out into producing momentum in your business too. So if that person were in front of me, I would say to definitely, you know, just ask yourself the simple question of what can I do to bring myself joy today?
I love that. Oh my God. You saying that just reminded me of, have you seen the documentary Studs?
No.
On Netflix?
I never even heard of it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. It's spelled S-T. Oh my gosh, this blanket is so warm. I just took
so
it
good.
off and now I'm like, put it
Get
back
it back
on. Stutz. And it's a therapist. And
Okay.
so Jonah Hill has a therapist that he found so much like freaking joy and like enlightenment with. It's like, oh my God, changed my life. That he actually created a documentary interviewing this therapist and on his like techniques and tools that he offers his patients. I don't know if it's the right word, because he takes this whole new approach to therapy, because he used to, when he was like trained, his mentors would, you know, sit down with the patient for an hour and then the patient would leave crying, distressed, all that stuff. And then his studs would ask, can we do anything to help them a little bit? He's like, no, you can't help them. They have to feel it. They have to figure it out on their own. Like, he's like, but aren't there tools to just like give them something to do so they could start feeling better? And then something felt off to him. So he like created his whole, like his way of doing it. And it's so freaking mind blowing. When I was going through like this time when I was on sabbatical, and I was just like, so like, you know, when you have someone that's like so used to like working, being connected to the business, and then you disconnect from that, it's like, wait, for a second, you're like, who am I for a second, right? And it's like a little bit of a shock to the system. I was in Barbados, it was amazing, we got to just be in nature and all of that, but there's still that like gap of like, maybe I should just take time to self-reflect, right? And I discovered this documentary, I watched it, it was freaking mind-blowing, the tools that he offers, like that he teaches in there. And I wrote them down in this little notebook that I bought while in Barbados. And oh my gosh, by the way, the top of the notebook is so cute. It says,
I was just trying to read it.
Yeah, it says, go forward in life with a twinkle in your eye and a smile on your face, but with great purpose in your heart. And I was like,
love that.
It just so spoke so much to me. I was like, literally, you know, when you see something in a store and that quote like yells at you, you're like, that's exactly what I need to hear right now.
Someone wrote this for me.
Yeah, pretty much. But he had this tool and I wrote it down. I think he calls it the string of pearls. And it was so smart how he literally draws little diagrams for his patients so that they can have a visual as well. And then it looks more like real and attainable. And pretty much, let me find it here. So the string of pearls is about, I think I actually remember it. Oh, here it is. So if you're like in this like really dark place and you're just like, I don't know how to get out of it, he's like, imagine like a long string and then there's one pearl on it. And your job is to just put the next pearl on. And it's like that next pearl could be like, you know, we talked about like exactly what you just said. Like,
go out for coffee,
like do what you want. Like ask yourself, what will bring me joy, right? And like put that next pearl on. Or maybe you're in your business, right? And you're like, I really just want 10 wedding bookings, for example. And you're just like, oh, I don't know how to get there. It's like put a pearl on and maybe call like a wedding dress shop and ask them if you could do some branding photos for them. Maybe they'll refer you, or like,
Yeah.
or reach out to a wedding planner you've worked with and ask them if they have any clients that you think will, like, a little piece of action. It doesn't have to be big, it could be small. And that string of pearls, as you just imagine it in your head, you're continuing to progress, that will like get you out of it. And I love that he said that. And then there's also this other tool he had, which was called the life force. And he drew it out like a pyramid. So you have it here, like a little pyramid. And he's saying that all people need 3 things to take care of, like 3 things in order to have that life force energy. And if you look at it as a pyramid at the bottom, it's the biggest part. The pyramid is like the foundation that holds everything else up. Take care of your body. We talked about this today, right? And we even talked about it. We're like, every time we take care of our bodies, oh my God, so much inspiration and clarity flows. And it's like, take care of your body through food, exercise, proper rest, sleep. Those are the things. Pretty basic. So if that's taken care of, then the next level in the middle of the pyramid is people. So you want to be connected. You want to be connected to community. You want to nurture your relationships. And isn't it funny how we were just talking about that too? We're like, why do we have this craving to be around people, right? Like, it's just that part of us. And then at the top is you. So your relationship with yourself and what you need and what brings you joy. So it's like, I love that you said all those things. You're like, just ask yourself, what do you want to do? And let's like follow that intuitive nudge. Because if you really simplify it in that sense of like, okay, if I'm taking care of my body, if I'm connected to people and I'm doing what I want, it's like, that's your life force.
Your life force, yep.
Isn't that amazing?
And to protect those 3 elements as much as possible in a day, especially if you feel like your life force is drained a little bit. I think it's so important to just like do that assessment of, have I taken care of me? Yeah. Okay. If I've only taken care of me, but I'm not even socializing, talk to the people or get back to your people. And yeah, it's such
but the first is always body. So
first.
Body first, and body being literally what you ingest and how you treat it through like movement.
Because think about it, if you eat poorly and you don't feel like strong in your body, you probably don't even want to go out to that next step and like be social and nurture your relationship. You just want to be inwards because you're like, I feel crappy, so I don't want to be part of the community. Yeah.
Or like, I don't even feel energized. So it's like, I don't have energy for other people. Yeah.
And then when really cool.
You're not connected to that, like your body isn't taken care of, like how are you going to even know how to connect to your intuition and know what you even want?
Yeah.
Right?
So cool.
Have you ever tried like little intuitive adventures where it's like you go out for a walk, let's say, and you're just like, okay, I'm just going to listen to my intuition. You're like, it's kind of like a practicing, because it's a practice to learn how to listen to your intuition. So it's like, go right. Well, something's telling you to go right. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. I don't want to go right, but okay, go right. Have you ever done that?
I think so it's funny. I was just having a conversation with a friend about this, and she's a new mom, and she's like, I don't get to do my intuitive walks as much anymore. But I was thinking, like, I think I do this every day when I walk my dog, because I'll just like look left, straight, or right, and I either let Abby guide the walk, and I'll say, which way do you want to go?
Oh, that's fun.
Or I'll kind of like look each direction, and usually there's a tree that's calling me, or I like want to see the energy of downtown, or I want to see the calmness of nature. So I'll kind of just do this like scan of my environment, and usually one direction, it's pulling me based on like the attributes that route could present. So I don't know if I've like thought about it like consciously, but I think there's part of me that loves the intuitive, like where do you want to go next?
Yeah,
so,
I love
do you do that?
Oh, I do it not all the time, but sometimes, and I for sure do it on wedding days. That's all. I literally on wedding days, that's what I'm doing 100% of the time. I'm letting my intuition guide me. Just so fun. But yeah, if another like fun game or solution for those of you listening, if you're feeling that like stuckness of I don't know what I want, whatever, like maybe you don't even know how to listen to your intuition. So like play that little game. Go on like a day adventure of like, I'm just gonna listen to my intuition. Oh, should I get on that subway now? Okay. Do I get off now? Okay. Like why not? Like if you don't have kids. I mean, if you have kids, you could do it too. I'm
Totally.
thinking, I'm like, I could do that with Ben, actually.
Yeah, get that stroller.
I'm like, I could,
Start-
yeah.
Ben, which
Yeah.
way do you want to go?
Yeah.
Oh, no answer? Okay, I'll choose.
Yeah.
Or let him point in a direction.
Oh my
and
God,
be
that's so
like,
cute because he's in a pointing
Yeah.
phase. He points to everything, but he would lead me into a wall. So
You're like, you can't go that direction.
yeah, I'll be like, okay, and I'll probably like I'll walk into the wall and he'll laugh and then I'll be
And
like,
then
that's
Sarah's
why
a
I was
concussion.
meant to go that way, to make him laugh. Yeah, concussion. Oh my gosh. So yeah,
This has been fun.
this has been really fun.
Hopefully valuable too.
Yeah, I think so.
I love
All
it.
right. So I feel complete. Do you?
We'll wrap it up here and get our warm clothes on. But
This blanket
yeah,
saved me though. Thank you.
It's
Like I
always-
actually feel better now.
She's not chattering on the mic anymore. I think like if we could wrap up this conversation, like one of the key points is to just make sure you have people who you can gather with and people who you feel can support you through the ebbs and flows of life, because every chapter that we are alive is going to present itself with challenges, and it is so important to just feel less alone during those challenges.
And if you don't have those people, if you don't feel like you have anyone, I know what it's like to feel like you don't have anyone, because you might not want to open up, you might not want to burden anyone. Guess what? You can still find people. You can still find
Always.
someone. Like the beautiful thing about social media is you can literally find someone that you feel like you're in a similar path, similar stage in business or life, and just connect and be like, hey, do you want to swap branding photos together? If you're two photographers, like, yeah, like I think everybody really appreciates people's vulnerability when they open up and show their humanness. So you really, you don't have anything to be scared of with that. So yeah, if you don't have a support system, know that you can grow one and create one step at a time. And maybe you can do the pearl exercise and put a pearl on every time you just reach out to someone or, try to connect. So, and then you're going to say, what else were you going to say? You're like,
that's it.
You think that's it? Okay.
I don't have any more words.
I don't have any more words.
No, I love that analogy, because you're right. There are so many times when we feel like, nobody understands me, or I don't have anyone in my corner. But I think that analogy of what can I do to add a pearl to this necklace, whether that's texting one person or actually connecting with people through your Facebook or through LinkedIn, rather than just creeping, or just, getting out into the town you live in and maybe starting to socialize with the people at the coffee shop, or starting to say hi to more of your neighbors, just so that you can feel like you do have the power to make a true connection each day.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, this was so much fun. I don't know why I felt like cheersing our microphone.
Cheers, Sarah.
The lightest tap so that
it doesn't hurt their ears.
Guys' ears.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Oh wait, Kelsey, where can everyone find you?
Oh, I am on Instagram at Kelsey Reidl, and my website is kelseyreidl.com. What about you?
I am Sarah Monica Photo on Instagram, and that's Sarah no H and with a K. So
Why is
Sarah
your name so hard to spell?
Monica Photo.
I love it. And we'll link them in the show notes.
Indeed.
Peace.
Hey, so I hope you enjoyed that episode. It's not over yet though, because the day that I came home after hanging out with Kelsey, in the evening, Roy and I meditated, and we're using Insight Timer, which is an amazing app. I used to use Headspace, and then I discovered Insight Timer. It just has so much variety in it. I love it. The free option, you have so much access to amazing stuff with the free option. This isn't even like a freaking, it's not an advertisement. I'm not affiliated. I'm just sharing it with you guys because it's just been an amazing resource for my mental health, my spiritual health, emotional health, all of that. And so, yeah, we were meditating, and he chose the meditation for the night. And as soon as we were in it and I was listening to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this thought just came into my mind. Like, I have to just add this to the end of this episode for some reason. It just feels like it flows well. It just works. I don't know, maybe even one of you needs to listen to this, but it's just so peaceful, so amazing. And I love how this guy here, he's amazing. His name is David G. David G. So David and then J.I. Um, he talks about embracing change and new beginnings in this one, and I just think it's perfect. So I'm literally gonna play it for you right here, right now, and this is what I'm gonna end the podcast off with. Enjoy.
Life can be hard. Sometimes we can feel alone or separated in some way from every other member of our species. We call it change, but it is simply the process of life being lived, the birth and death and rebirth of every word, every thought, every action, and in each moment there is change. If we can understand that change is like breath, it's not part of the process, it is the process, then we can live our lives with more grace and ease. While the thought of change can seem overwhelming and cause us to dig in our heels, resist, and hold on to what we have and the way things are, the truth is that we are changing in every moment, with every breath. You are not the same person who began listening to this just a few moments ago. At the cellular level, change is constant and continuous. If we can bring ourselves in a leap of courage to embrace change as our true teacher, our life expands in magnificent, unforeseeable ways. We don't try so hard to hold on. We know that the universe will sort out the details and take care of the outcome. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 47 says that we have total control over our own actions, not the fruit of them. We control our words, our thoughts, and our deeds, not the fruit of them. If we can allow change to be our teacher, we can learn each day to let go of the subtle attachments that creep into our minds and then turn into limiting beliefs. We can then find our own rhythm in the cycle of change, the expansion and the contraction, the high and the low, the light and the dark. Allowing change and embracing uncertainty is the antidote to suffering. In order to find peace, we need to allow things to be in a constant state of flux, to be okay with change. This infinite flexibility allows us to see the possibilities in whatever happens, even if the situation looks impossible.